How's it going, Be Smitty Lurkers? If you've been here from the start, I have no idea what's going on with the audio there. I basically just kind of went into settings and turned off and on and off and on and just changed some different things, and then all of a sudden I think it's now working properly. I was listening to the nice little tune there just to kind of make sure. We seem to be good. It was like basically an endless echo of audio, and I don't know. I was like getting on the Google and trying to see what the issue is, and I guess Twitch has had some type of issues with buttons not being around and sound being off. I'm not too sure if it's Twitch or actually my streaming software. It could have been a little bit of both. I have no idea. But here we are. I am super excited to announce that the book is done. You're probably wondering where I've been the past 2 weeks. I started streaming and then took a break already. It wasn't even a break. It was basically I needed to take that break to get my stuff organized and ready to actually do this how I want to do it. Um, I moved the space that I was streaming at to another space to have more room to be ready to stream anytime I want. So there's no real setup process besides what I actually want to stream about. Whether it's editing photos or kind of showing obviously my book, whatever it is I want to do, all I have to do is kind of set up the application and I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about cameras and, just setting everything all up in that sense of moving things around. I can just sit in my chair and start streaming. So it's kind of where that process was. And then obviously I've been working on the book. I kind of wanted, that was kind of the whole purpose, was take the time to go through the ideas. I actually still have them sticking here on my desk. These are all photos that I had written down, and so I wrote out photos, and I was trying to figure out what ones I want to have next to each other, which ones I want to eliminate for another project. And that took some time. I don't really get too crazy about it. I think I learned a lot from Joel Meyerowitz, photographer, and he had basically a documentary slash masterclass slash basically him chatting about photography, and it's super funny because it's kind of like it's really a high dollar hang it's like a long YouTube video. It's nothing too special, but it's exactly what you need to know. But I think that's what makes it totally worth it, and it's super important for the history of photography that he even did it. And I think that's kind of uh, a thing that I think is worthy of it, and I think it's worth it. I think I think a lot of things should be that way. I think I mentioned it before, where I totally feel like people should have to pay to go to a website and those types of things. I think actually that's a good thing because you're helping the person that's giving the content. I think before in the past, you had to pay for it, whether you're going to go to a museum or whatever, a show. You paid an entry fee, you paid whatever to do it. I think it's a good thing. I think that's something we're going to see a lot more in the future. There's obviously going to be the places for the free stuff. There's always going to be a form of Instagram. There's always going to be a form of Facebook. But those are all one and dones. 100%. Yeah, I know it's super good for distribution. The quick sales, and that type of thing. But as a legacy or anything like that, um, I think I think using them all to create who you are, not have that platform make you who you are. If that makes any sense, I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, and that's why I think even this is kind of like, since I'm on Twitch, it's an IRL, which is why I wanted to create the book IRL, which I talked about in my first stream. I believe it was mentioned then that I was doing this book. Um, kind of a surprise I did that quick. You know, that was kind of the whole plan. Is like, you know, I just wanted to get it done, and I want to talk about that here in a minute too. Um, but oh yeah, so on Twitch, yeah, I could see a lot too, where you know it's obviously heavily geared towards gaming, and that's you know that's, but Twitch is trying to spread its wings and kind of do. I mean today was the biggest. I've even talked about how like I'm the first photographer on Twitch, um, and it's kind of funny because it's actually like I researched and because I was like, can I get kicked off of Twitch for? Like, I was trying to figure out because I know there's very specific rules on Twitch and what you can do and what you can't do. But they've been really focusing on IRL and kind of you can almost do whatever you want just as long as it's nothing, as long as you're not doing anything insane like the obvious things that would get you kicked off. I think they're really trying to focus on building. Obviously, the gaming community is huge, but they also I think know that it's also small in the grand scheme of things. Um, but today is real interesting. Um, yeah, right now. So when I was first, so I think it's like it's something that I noticed like when I was like I was watching a game on Twitch and I was just like, and I was obviously been doing YouTube for a long time, and I I like the idea of going live and talking about photos and editing photos. But like I said, it's kind of like one of those things like, can I even do it on Twitch? I didn't really want to do it on YouTube. YouTube's just been like dragging me down creatively for a long time because I think YouTube kind of sucks the energy out of you. Um, Not even just by having it, it's not like doing the thing. It's just I think the platform. I think that's what kind of happens with Facebook as well. Is like you're bombarded by things that you don't want to be bombarded about. I think Twitch, you kind of create your own little world, and I think that's what's important. I mean, yeah, I'm not even gonna get into that whole spiel of different platforms, but what I'm getting at is IRL. I know I mentioned a number in one of the streams, and I'd have to figure out what it was, but I honestly think there was like 25,000 total people watching IRL, maybe 35. It was somewhere in that number, and I thought that was like a really low number, and I was like, I think there's like a window. I think there's a window of opportunity for so many things. Like, not even just like how I know it's like, okay, there's no photographers on Twitch. I've searched every day for a long time, literally a couple months. I'm like every day I'm looking to see if there's anyone editing photos, anyone doing. There's a ton of people doing like graphic design, and I think that's kind of like what IRL really kind of started to be, was just like it's like a mix of that and the creative, which I started off at the creative because I thought that made sense, but it doesn't really, because I'm talking about photograph, photographies, talking about photographs like out and what I'm doing at the spot, what the location is like, and then I want to expand it to showing actually being out and talking about it, basically kind of like a commentary of being out. So it's like that totally makes more sense for IRL because like I think the creative has a whole different spiel. Like I think there's totally room for so much stuff. Like when I was looking, like if you're a great painter, not even great, if you're a painter, if you're an artist of any sorts, I mean, that's one thing I just want to put out of the way is great is defined by so many different ways and different people. Like I think David Lynch is one of the greatest painters of all time, and a lot of people disagree, but it's just that is what it is. So I wouldn't get in that whole aspect. Don't even know why I said it. I would just do it if you're interested in doing it. Um, there's so many things. Even like I'm sure there's people like baking and stuff on here. I don't remember any off the top of my head. If you're like cooking, it's just I really think Twitch has something really good. The layout's really good. How you can kind of create your own community is like super important. I think that's what like YouTube does, is they actually try to keep the community away. You can kind of create it, but it's still filtered through Google. I think Twitch is really smart in the sense where they kind of it's like they kind of step back. They're not micromanaging every single thing that's happening in the sense of you being a creative person. um, so anyways, that whole story leads to IRL is number 4 on top. They have it called top games still, so top games IRL is number 4, and it's ahead of PUBG right now. So it goes Realm Royale, which is a new game that's uh, it's crazy that that's already past Fortnite. So Realm Royale, Fortnite, League of Legends, then it's IRL. So it's ahead of so many like popular games. Um, so it's at basically 78,000 viewers right now, which is crazy. Like it's pretty much. I mean, you're looking close to triple the amount from a couple weeks ago. So I think Twitch is like really kind of, and the funny thing is like I've heard of Twitch. Twitch was like just hardcore gaming. That's what it was. It's for gamers. But I it's just interesting. I'm really excited to see what happens with Twitch. I think they're heading in a great direction. I know there's things you can do from the phone now as well. I haven't even dabbled into that. That might be something I might look into. I just don't know really how that would work. Obviously, let's just do a test. All this is testing. I feel like every day I'm figuring out something. I actually figure out so many better things to do because now I didn't know how to. Apparently, I set it up wrong. I mean, it wasn't really wrong, but I set up to where like my actual application for streaming was showing in the stream, so I had to hide it like behind my camera spot, and then I kind of had to I would change the scene to like something like this, and then I would move it over and adjust what I need to adjust, and then I'd come back. It's just so you wouldn't see the whole application and all that, and it would look kind of bunk or whatever. But apparently, I had accidentally selected to show this, so yeah, it's kind of nice. Now it's I can just see everything. I don't have to like switch scenes all the time to make adjustments. Um, yeah. So let me do something real quick here. Yeah. So the big announcement. It's huge. IRL. This is so I have my book that I made last called Now. Same format, and I'm super hyped to be like. So the story behind this book is interesting. So I'd like create like handmade small zine booklets and that type of thing. Um, I had actually created my very first book was in 2010 called Collective. It was hardcover. Um, I literally think there was 10 made, and I think I still have two of them. So some people have some very rare books out there that aren't available anymore. And sadly, a few of those photos that are in that book were part of the hard drive that busted. So I don't have the original files from those photos anymore. Which I'll just say it real quick. I know had a long spiel about it. Back up and then back up and then back up. Put in safes. Even if it's like I was doing that, but I didn't do it for like the basically a whole season. Like most of my spring photos were in there, which is a lot for me. If you don't shoot that much, you might be able to get away with like, okay, I can just kind of save some photos somewhere. I should have been a little bit smarter, but it was a good lesson learned. 2010 was like really the first year I was shooting away from skateboarding. Um, but yeah, lesson learned. Still get bummed about it every day. But no, this is it's gonna be this format. I think it's a 8x10. It's an 8x10 book. Uh, it's a luster. It's a premium luster paper, so the paper is really nice. Um, the cover has a bit more, a bit of glare to it because it's a little bit thicker. But I still kind of like it actually. I think it creates for a soft cover book. It creates a nice like it's yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to do a lot to this to kind of mess it up. It kind of I don't know. I think it has like a really good feel to it. Um, the pages look really nice because it's not glossy or in the sense where it just like looks terrible. You can always tell like the difference from the cover to a page. So the pages are a lot better in the sense of glare than the cover, but the image quality in these books are amazing. Um, so now is actually still available at beastmedia.com right now. Um, the funny thing the reason I named it Now is because So it was December 2016, and I really wanted to kind of get things going with making books and kind of, I do photograph a lot. Um, and there I have a lot of things I don't post on social media. I don't really, even when I was posting a lot, like it was still like I'd be like, I'd post X amount in a week, but I had already shot a bunch in that week, or if I didn't post so much, like obviously I have way more photos than I have posted. Um, and there's a lot of photos that were part of a series that have no one has ever seen, and that's where I'm actually going to show this book here. I think I'm going to show a part of it, and then maybe hop on stream another time and kind of go over it again in the other section, kind of see how that goes. Um, this isn't going to be available yet, so it's kind of like a announcement. I have a sample of it on the way, so I just want to make sure exactly kind of how I want it to look, make sure there's no tweaks. Pretty much once I get the sample, if it's good to go, it's going to be ready for sale. Delivery on this one will probably be a few weeks because I have to get the. I think that's actually there's actually still some copies of now for immediate delivery, as in like a couple business days, if you know what I mean. um, and I think the next one I'm gonna work a bit more in the sense where I order, like, basically have it like an like I'll order through the publisher when orders come in. That'll help with that's one thing I wanted to kind of do, and that's how I do my clothing. That's how I do all the merch. Is basically it's all like it'll take a little bit longer to ship, but it's done more efficiently. More, it's just instead of having extra inventory sitting around or having inventory around before things are even available, kind of just makes more sense, especially as I'm wanting to create more and more books. Um, this really kind of got me fired up because I had all these photos and then I was eliminating photos. I was like, but I really like this photo, but something else needs to happen next to it. And so I'm really excited to kind of just get the ball rolling. The whole idea of now, which was December of 2016, was to actually start the book process of getting books out and getting books out. Obviously, it's been a month and a half, or no, I wish it was a month and a half. It's been a year and a half. Um, so I kind of didn't really go with my own advice. Um, I think sadly I let um, the whole YouTube kind of thing take over. Because I was really focused on YouTube and really, I think I had. I mean, I still enjoy YouTube. I still, it's a great, it is a great platform. It's but it also is what it is, and I think I fought a lot trying to get things how I don't know. It was just kind of like kind of just took over my brain, and then obviously it's winter, and it's just like a lot of things kind of just took over. Um, when you kind of have a lot of negativity going on, it's very hard to be creative, and I think that's why you should try 100% to not have any negativity, or just ignore it, or something. Kind of keep yourself going, or stay up till 4 in the morning. However you need to do to stay away from negativity to be creative, that's what you need to do. Um, so it's kind of, and then I was making transitions from shooting photos. Obviously, it made switch to um, the Leica Q. It's just a good time to kind of. I think that even though I didn't really get the books going immediately, like the whole point of naming it now was to do that. Um, is Come on, face recognition. You are not working. Great. Wow. Um, wow, as in my phone's not working right. Um, but it was like the first step, right? It was the first, like, I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Took me some time. These are published through Blurb, which I'm really they've done great stuff. Um, I think their soft covers are they're just ideal. I mean, these books are, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they're pricey. I mean, just to get them printed is pricey. I think that's why I've always said to you, I was like, I'd love to just be able to sell books for like 20 bucks, but unfortunately, just getting one of those myself printed is even more than that. So, and then they're shipping obviously and all that. So it's kind of like a whole, it's an expensive process, but at the same time, like it's amazing. This I always make sure that I don't get caught up in how amazing things are these days. Um, it's crazy that I can have a even do this. I, you know, it didn't take me 2 weeks to do this, but it was 2 weeks of time to just like, all right, I'm going through these photos, I'm writing this down, this down, this down. All right, what can I do here? What can I do here? I mean, if you put it all together, we're probably talking like a couple hours. I designed a book, and I can have a book now. Like it's and I can have it for sale to anyone in the world. Like it's it, I mean, you gotta respect. Yeah, I mean, when some things cost more, you know what I mean. I think that's how I feel for sure. Like maybe it'd be great if I could make some type of book deal and like they make a massive amount, and then since they do that, it's cheaper. Um, but yeah, I'm not even interested in worrying about that. That's why the price is the price, and I'm just super excited to do it. And I think that will help as well, is to kind of just work directly with the publisher. And I'm real excited to work with Blurb. The last one was the collective was the first one. I kind of got caught up in that. That's why I started hand making books so I can sell them for cheap. And I was just trying to, and I'm kind of. It's good to do that. I think it's something maybe I would have like a series of zines again. At this point, I have zero interest actually in doing anything like that. I kind of like there's something that's amazing about holding an actual book. Um, like it just doesn't even compare. And I love these. They're a good size too. It's just kind of like your basic. Um, it's like a very good size in the sense that you get like, at least for me, when I looked, I hadn't looked at this in a long time. I wanted to break it out and make sure the size was still that I wanted. And I actually forgot like exactly what photos were in here. And when I looked at it, I was actually I was so pumped when I finished it up that like I was actually so happy the way that it is too. Like it ends and you want more, and I think that's perfect. I mean, you're not sitting through a book. You're kind of just all of a sudden you're flipping through it faster because you're like, we're all kind of in that mode of like the next thing, and I think it's a perfect size for that. And I know at some point I'll be doing some massive book that's probably going to cost hundreds of dollars because it's going to cost a lot to. I think I even looked it up. Like it costs like like a classic, big photo book, hardcover, thick book. I mean, costs like $100 or something crazy. It's, um, but that's for another day. And many years, probably another year, another years down the line. But again, that's amazing that can even happen to you. You can create a massive, beautiful hardcover book with premium paper with your like life's work in it. I mean, it's pretty awesome. So I think we should just get right into this book here. And that's the thing. I'm showing it, and obviously, it's on the stream, so the quality is the quality of the stream. So the cover. Maybe I should go with the color of the cover. That's obviously, if you didn't catch on right away, kind of symbolize that I'm shooting with Leica now. Even though some of these photos aren't even shot with a Leica. It's a mix. There's some Leica and some other cameras as well. So this photo, yeah, that's one thing I was like, it's a funny thing. I mean, I probably made the decision in like 5 minutes, but I feel like it was longer. Like I was trying to decide which photo, and I wanted to have a photo that was inside the book as the cover. I don't, for some reason, I feel like having a cover but not in the book, like I don't know. I don't know. I think like it worked with, yeah. I mean, it's sometimes maybe I'll have a different photo than inside, but as of right now, I feel like it should be inside the book as well. So this photo was taken, I believe, in Olmsted Falls, Ohio. I was kind of just wandering about. I actually walked over to a building like an old decrepit building, and uh, I don't even think I photographed the building. I think I got there and was kind of just not interested. And there were some train tracks that appear, and I kind of just walked along and just seen a nice little uh, situation going on of different items. There's actually a lot of different items in here, as you'll see as well, but decided to photograph some of them. And so here we go, page one. Just start off with the photo. I don't even want to start with text. I just get right into it. I've had very little text in this book. It's just the very end. That's kind of like how I want all my books to kind of be. It's just you open it and then you're into. You don't have to, go through 12 pages of nonsense to get to a photo. If I ever have 12 pages of nonsense, I still want to start with a photo and then have pages of nonsense. So uh, yeah, this photo almost didn't even happen. I was walking. I believe this. Um, I don't know what area of Oberlin it was, but it's in the outskirts of Oberlin. So I was photographing with my friend, and this is kind of like in a very weird spot, which I've Oberlin is kind of like Oberlin, Ohio is like it's a college town, but it's completely not a college town. It has like the college town like everyone says, oh, it's a college town, but it's like it's one extreme and the other extreme, as in like what the town is. Um, this is kind of just like behind another. There's like I feel like there's abandoned building, like a shack, wandering dogs, and then this building. So it was kind of interesting coming across this. Um, Very interesting coming across this. Um, the numbers, the arrow, just kind of everything um, was very interesting to me, and I really like this photo. So, if you've watched my stream before, I actually edited both of these photos live on Twitch here. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure you give this channel a follow and check out the subscribe button. On Amazon, they have this thing where you can set up your Amazon Prime with Twitch Prime to give yourself a free subscription to subscribe to either my channel or any other channel on Twitch at no cost to you, but helps out the creative. So these photos are both very close to each other. I don't know how much I mentioned about that when I was streaming before. Um, the heart photo was one that was taking a very quick. It was just very swiftly photographed. I know I was in conversation. I just noticed it, photographed it, moved on. I actually don't think I really thought much of it when even like in that very split second situation. I kind of just did it because it caught my eye, and I continued walking as the whole thing happened. Um, but I've come to really like this photo um, of the fence here. I think it turned out. I don't know. There's something that really is interesting. You don't. I feel like. I mean, is there another fence like this in the world? Like, it's. I mean, it's super interesting. Um, I don't know. I don't know how this fence really came to be. With that heart, I just. I've thought about what was the thought process of this fence. What kind of, what made who thought of the idea to do that. And so, yeah, so shot the photo of the fence, and it was maybe another, I don't know, 30 steps. And the photo of the door, I shot one frame of it, even though I'm not like that, like, I don't want to shoot one thing of everything, even though that's a great way to do it. I do shoot one of a lot of things, but I also know, like, if I shoot something and something's not quite there, right, or if I know immediately, like, oh, this will be better, I'm not like the one to like just take one and just completely walk away no matter what. Um, this one was kind of obvious to me. The red door, the yellow, the squares, kind of the shapes of everything. I shot this and knew it would work, especially with that door. Um, yeah, I think that, and obviously, I think they pair well together. And that's kind of what I wanted to mention about too. What I think I was heading there, but I got distracted, which is not surprising. Is um, so the Joel Meyerowitz uh, documentary slash masterclass slash video. Um, he talks about um, basically talks about the photo book, and he's made apparently a lot of them. He says a lot. I've only seen two. Yeah, two of them. I'd love to see more. I really love his work. He's someone that he's like to me an OG in the sense of how I shoot today. He's uh, very highlighted in the Genius of Photography documentary that basically changed my life. It really did. I mean, it's crazy to think that, but it's absolutely true. I think about that documentary every day. It made me make a huge decision um, in my life of what I was doing on the daily with photography, what I wanted to photograph, how I was going to photograph, how I thought about photography, um, and I basically go with those thoughts every day of like how I should be photographing and what I could be doing better. I think that's one thing too. That's kind of um, interesting about photography and maybe other art forms is it's kind of like how I think of it too. It's such a different aspect. Like say like if you're dedicated to basketball and you're working out every day and you're working on your just working on everything. You working on your dribbling, your fouling shooting, and your shooting in general. You know, you're just and you're staying in shape, and you have to do all these things to stay in shape and perform as a basketball player. I think it's like that for photography, but it's all in your head, which is why you have to keep the negativity away. It's almost like keeping negativity away is almost like going to the gym as a basketball player in that sense. It's like you have to train yourself and make sure you're performing in a way to be able to photograph. I think at least for me when a lot of things are going on, it's very hard for me to be open-minded and um, open-minded about my own creativity, not about just like photography in general. It's always about, at least for me, it's always about what I'm looking for, what I'm doing, um, and not getting too romantic with that either. In the sense of like, if I was able to photograph exactly how I wanted, it would, it just isn't possible to do it that way unless I really created my own photography. I don't know. That's a whole nother like mental thing for me to go through. But I like basically I could sum that up in the sense where I do have an idea or I mean a series of ideas. It's almost like another like it's like another road with photography where it's like I have this idea of photographing the way I photograph now, but having like a road that can veer off to and then veer back and then veer on in the sense of projects and photo books. Um, and one is basically the IRL. My whole like that's basically what I've been doing for quite some time now. After basically watching Genius of Photography, is like I'm photographing in real life. I'm not really not like even though I have had projects where I've had the live project where I shoot like a portrait of someone in front of a white wall, those types of things. But I've done these basically since I've shot a form of them basically since I've been shooting, because I feel like everyone, if they have a camera, they'll shoot something random. Um, but it's been obviously deliberate since basically 2010. Um, but then I have this road, and I feel like the road is like how my brain is actually working, and where I want to go um, creatively. Um, it actually just kind of it gets me super hyped up, and I know I haven't even really said what it is, but it's um, photos I see in my head I want to actually create. So it's basically I'm creating my own photo. It doesn't necessarily have to be outside. It can. I kind of want to have a. To sum it up, I want to have a story within a book that's all in my head, and it's all just photos. It's it's gonna have a look, feel. It's almost like a scene continued out. So that's kind of some insight here on Twitch of my thoughts moving forward of ideas for projects. Um, I've always considered myself an artist, and that's why I love photography. And I even back in the high school days, that really kind of formed who I am. Is every year there was an art class, and if you took an art class every year, you can take two the last year, and the one was called Studio Problems. So it's art for and studio problems. Studio problems, you create your own problems. Is basically what it is. So basically, you create a project, and however you want, any project you want, and he grades on it. I probably had the worst art teacher ever, um, but the class itself, being able to do something all on my own, um, was a good thing for me. And it also was a very early lesson that yeah, I don't know. I was gonna talk about teachers in general, not teachers. That teacher is really like you can create something and someone doesn't like it, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, I don't even need to go into it. I mean, it just doesn't mean anything if someone else doesn't like it. Um, but no, so every project I did in Studio Problems, I think there was some type of thing where I think there was a few kind of pre-planned things you had to do, but you can do whatever you want. So I think there was like an oil painting, there was a watercolor. Um, I think there was four of them, and I want to say they're all some type of painting. Maybe one was a sculpture, but then you had, I think, monthly. You had monthly projects and like term. I don't know what you call that now. Semester projects. So you kind of had, yeah, and that was the thing too. You had to have a workflow because you had multiple projects. That's why they call it problems. You had to problem solve to get things done. But every project I was able to do from scratch was all photos. Every single one of them was photography, um, and it was great, you know. Um, and that was actually kind of like my first little dive into not shooting skate photos as much because um, I want to. Maybe there was some type of guidelines for everything. I don't really remember, but regardless, when I had full control, it was photography. Um, so yeah, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, yeah, the two roads. I'm real excited. I could see that other road becoming something very special. Um, very very special. I've thought I'm gonna just keep going. I'm just gonna keep going with this. It's like I think as a photographer, I have so many ideas. I really want to have like a basically an audiobook where it's music for the book. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Talking about it out loud actually got me more excited. All right, let's go to the next pairing. So there's the cover on the right, right. I don't know which one was actually photographed first right now. I don't really. I mean, I'm not going to go back to find out. But regardless, one of these was photographed before the other, but the same kind of. I mean, it was the same. This is actually down in like quite a big ditch. Um, I'm kind of like hanging over both of them. I'm kind of just like leaning and kind of. It's like I don't know how tall the one drop off is, but the side I'm shooting on is actually not as tall as the other one because it leads up to some train tracks. So I actually really, I've always liked these. I don't know if I've ever posted these. Maybe the pink ball has been on Instagram. I don't even know. It might be. Um, but this is a great pairing. Um, it's kind of just interesting to me. You know, it this very well could be completely different spots. I mean, that's the great thing about photographing. Like that photo that we just seen with the heart and the fence, I could have said that's in freaking Maine. You know what I mean? It doesn't like that's the kind of the interesting thing. The location doesn't really matter. I mean, you can create projects in this your own neighborhood, your backyard, wherever, and that's the beauty of photography. Um, it doesn't really matter. Like a lot of things don't matter, and I think that's what I've really learned is so much doesn't matter, and I learned a lot from actually the massive. I don't know how many books it is. I'm about to find out. Before I start talking, let me find out this thing real quick by Steidel Books. William Eggleston's Democratic Forest. I could just walk out and figure out it's in the other room. Um, I would made a YouTube video about the Democratic Forest collection on YouTube. It's youtube.com/bsmitty. Go check that out. Hit that subscribe button while you're over there on the YouTubes. Um, the Google Images. I can just count it from here. Okay, now it's loading. Okay, 10 volumes. It's a massive collection. I think I mean, it's a crazy collection. But looking at that book, um, you know, you get a sense of how he's photographing and kind of where he's moving to, where he's going, because you can kind of you see down the road or see down a sidewalk, and all of a sudden he's like past the sidewalk, but over here photographed this thing, but you can see a part of that thing that he photographed way over here. So he's kind of like just trying to find certain little things, and seeing that kind of gave me a little bit of like, which I mean, he's basically photographed, around Memphis and kind of all that. So I kind of know it's kind of what he's photographed elsewhere, obviously, but you can photograph anywhere, and you don't need to get caught up in I need to go travel here. And that's something I really focused on, really starting last year. But that's something I really focused on. I remember posting a thing maybe on the Twitters, which is twitter.com/beastmedia.com. So it's at beastmedia.com there, and Instagram as well. But I remember posting somewhere that you can find a whole new world of photos by just turning down a road you never turned down before. How many roads do you pass every single day on your commutes that you never drove down, or you drove down when you were like 8 years old, which is like 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, and have no idea what's at the end, or if that road leads to another road, which leads to another road that you've never been down. That's something I've really exercised. Because like it's crazy to think like I've shot photographs in other states and stuff where like I take the photo, I'm like this, I mean, it's something I really like, but like there's nothing really special, like in the sense that like, oh, this photo from whatever state, like, I mean, there's the obvious, like if you're shooting in the desert or shooting in New York City, there's the obvious, where you're like those types of things. But like these photos, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, and technical difficulties over here, if you know what I'm saying. uh, One thing at Twitch, I wish Twitch was like I love Twitch. I think Twitch is like the greatest, like one of the great, like besides like I think Instagram's really good, obviously because photos, but I haven't really been using it as much. But like Twitch, like I said earlier in the stream, it's something special. But there's some stuff I wish would just work a bit more. It's actual minutes, like streaming and that, like it always like stops working. So like you kind of like your information isn't quite accurate. But those are kind of whatever things are working. But it'd be nice if some things kind of were a little bit more efficient in that sense. But that's kind of those are me just complaining about nothing situations right there. Um, let's hit up check something here. It's great talking about photography. Especially that the second road. It's a big deal to me. Big deal. Because it's kind of interesting, like because at least I mean for me and probably for most people out photographing out in the real world, like you're either just you're going up to the real world or the real world is coming to you in the sense of like where you're walking, where you're going. Um, which obviously I love. I mean that's something I'm gonna pursue probably forever. But there's the other half of my brain, my creative brain, that my like how I've creatively been brought up myself and what I've learned creatively in the past 5 years. Um, there's a part of me that's really wanting to like take like creative control 100% and just make these things, and I'm really excited for it. I feel like I need to get going on that. Now I'm just like, what am I waiting for? What am I doing? I feel like that should be like the next thing I do. I think streaming this is actually like super important. Like, um, I just noticed too, cutting off. I think I was able to see this first one. But yeah, as I'm talking, let me just go back here so you can check these out. Apparently, that's cutting off the side of the screen there. Yep. Still need to move it a bit more. Oh, oh, okay. We'll go to that next. Great. uh, I feel like streaming this is like uh kind of good to I don't know. I don't know. I guess Twitch is my psychologist now. But let's go to these other photos since I accidentally went there. But that's fine because we'll start with the next batch on the next stream. Um, so yeah, these photos are not by each other at all. I don't really recall. I know the photo of the house is recent. The one with the fence is not so recent. The one with the house is shot with a Leica Q. Somewhere. I don't quite remember where. Just out walking. I remember just kind of walking down the sidewalk. And just kind of, I really like, it was just kind of interesting. It's kind of like this weird blue house, kind of neatly hidden behind this bush and tree. Um, and then this is like one of those things, uh, what I mentioned with Joel Meyerowitz, which I still don't even know if I finished that whole conversation, but I didn't. I know I didn't. But so like a photo, I think I did mention this on the stream though. A photo can mean or look or feel completely different next to a certain photo. 100%. Like if I had this photo next to like something really silly, it would kind of just be awkward. You know, it would kind of be like, okay, random, next page. But some photos work extremely well with others. Like this is kind of like an unplanned flip flop situation. Um, and the colors are very close. And I didn't like this wasn't even like this wasn't planned when I was writing all these. I don't know how many's here. A lot. 50 photo ideas. I don't know. I wrote a bunch of photo ideas down. I just kind of I'd randomly open a photo, write a name down of like kind of just remind me what photo it might have been. Because I don't like name my photos in my files or anything like that. Um, but um, I basically I don't know which one. I believe the house was like I think the house was a photo I like. Just kind of was like I do like that photo. I'm gonna write that down. And then at another random time when I was just looking through photos, because I would basically I wrote everything down, and then I started making the obvious pairings. You know, photos I knew like would work perfectly with another one. I'd make that selection. I'd say close to half were kind of already figured out, like right out the gate. Like, all right, these photos are going to be in it. Um, and I definitely wanted the photo with the heart fence and the door because I streamed it. Kind of made sense to kind of have that involved with the book. Um, I even talked about it in that stream. I believe that how they kind of work together and how they were just within 30 steps of each other. Um, so that I felt that was an obvious needed to be in the book. So just another day, another random kind of research, looking around. I saw this, immediately thought of the house, wrote it down, wrote it down as like a side by side to check it out to see how I felt, um, and I liked it. I didn't think it worked perfect, but that's a perfect example of, maybe. I mean, this is an example of it. I had photos where I thought was going to be in the book, but I just didn't have the right. Something wasn't working with it on the other page, so it just got the axe. But these ones didn't, and I think that's kind of like the important thing to think about as um, a book process. I think that's why a lot of photographers make the photo books with blank page photo, blank page photo, blank page photo. Makes the books look bigger, and kind of you can separate a little bit mentally of like that whole problem of it's not a problem, it's just a different style, different layout style. um, you can get away with a lot more by having a blank page for sure. um, I I'm not, and that's not to say I'll never do a blank page. Maybe there might be a project that calls for that, and maybe my second road is that. um, but or it could be partially that. I think that's an interesting idea too, is like maybe a single photo is so good that works with the other photos but it doesn't quite work as well, or it just deserves its own page. That's certainly something that could be a thing as well. um, so that's a good way to think of it too. I wonder if I refresh this, if this would actually show me what's going on with this here. I think I just need to refresh when things seem to be locked up on Twitch. There we go. I can actually see the stream again. yeah, that's where we're at. I'll be back on stream again soon. Um, I don't have any set schedules really of streaming. I would love to eventually. I'd love to have something a little bit more kind of regular, a regularly scheduled program where you can just kind of I'll be on. Um, but right now it's slightly, I wouldn't say it's unrealistic, but I don't want to have a schedule and then be bummed that I'm not there, or people expect for me to be streaming at a certain time and I can't. Um, but I think I want to kind of get on it. I think it's gonna be late night. I know I talked about it before. I think I definitely just need to have a late night stream. Even if I have a couple of them set, like a week, like have Monday, Wednesday, like I'm on at freaking 10:30 or something, and even if it's just for an hour hangout, half hour hangout, quick hangouts, 2 hour, whatever it ends up being. Kind of maybe have a couple set like days, and then kind of have the pop-ins for different time periods. Um, but I think having a schedule would be nice, um, in that sense, where people know when I'll be on. Um, but for now, we'll keep it random, keep the streams random. Uh, Definitely thanks for hanging in there the first 10 minutes or so when the audio was a little jacked. I've had to obviously do a few resets, but that happens. Live streams, sometimes you can just have some situations. I'm super excited to announce this book. It should be available. Let's see what's today's date. I think my sample's coming in maybe the middle to end of next week. So I'll definitely live stream and show the actual sample. I'm hoping everything just is good to go. I'm hoping it's like, which I believe last time it was. So I'm I'd say 98% sure that we're just gonna be good to go. Obviously there's a chance where a photo might not print exactly how I want it, um, but they're pretty accurate over there. And again, as photos go, a photo's gonna look different on every single screen and paper. So that's why I just want to for sure see it in my hands before I'm actually putting it out there for sale. Just so I'm not like bummed if something ends up not correct or whatever. Make the proper adjustments. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be good. Um, yeah, I like the red idea. I think it's kind of a nice starting point. Again, it's like I feel like everything's a starting point, and I feel like I'm always working on the next thing, always working on the next photo, always taking the next photo, always working on the next project. I'm excited to actually let that two-road idea come out. That it's actually going to get me fired up to, um, you know, uh, get going on that a bit more. And um, yeah, I might have to do a tease of it sometime. I obviously have to really think of it. It's gonna take some time because I don't have anything set. I think just like that idea of the look and that idea of making like a story into a book with no words, like a scene, is a very like there's just thoughts. So I have to kind of get the thing going. So it might take some time. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I'm excited regardless. To make that happen. Honestly, that's a really good winter project, um, for sure. Because I can kind of stay a little bit more sane in the winter if I have some side projects like that where I'm kind of more like creating a thing. I don't know. We'll talk more about it another time. Uh, Make sure you follow the stream if you haven't already. Amazon does this awesome thing where you can set up your Amazon Prime with your Twitch account. So you make Twitch Prime, and you can subscribe to any channel for free at no cost to you, but it helps the creative person streaming or gamer. So it doesn't have to be to me, but it is free for you. So you can actually help any type of person on Twitch, whether they're playing video games, doing graphic designing, baking, or like myself talking about photography. It's just a good thing to use to help the person out. I think it's pretty awesome. I have mine, and I gave mine to a random person on the first test stream, I believe. Or it might even be on the first stream. I don't know. Early on, I gave it to. I just went to the. Um, I believe it was the creative. Went to the creative channel and I just selected person and I gave him my Twitch Prime. That was obviously on my first stream. I gave one to video game before when I set up when they announced it. 'Cause I think it was 2 months ago when they announced it. Um, the Twitch Prime thing, or maybe that's when I heard about it. One or the other. I don't know if it's set up like the month before that or not. Regardless, I use it as well, and I give them away to a random person because I feel like, especially for me, I like to try to find someone that has low view counts, just to kind of give them motivation and kind of just spread the love around. And I think that's a cool thing, and that's what's awesome that Amazon is doing, and merging that with Twitch. So definitely give that a try. I know they also do a free trial if you don't have Amazon Prime where you can subscribe for a month for free and then you can make adjustments from there. There's different subscription tiers and you get benefits as well for being a Twitch Prime user. But following costs nothing. You don't have to have anything going on. You can just follow it for free. So hit that follow button. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at bsmitty.com, all spelled out. And for all things bsmitty, bsmitty.com, and also on Patreon, patreon.com/bsmitty. All the things be Smitty, definitely check them out. Um, Thanks for lurking with me again. Sorry for the audio issues at first, but obviously I made sure they were under control before we really started going. So thank you very much for streaming. I'm super hyped on IRL getting this book out. Again, it's gonna be like next week, and we'll be on stream here in the next couple days or so to check out the rest of the book. And thanks again for lurking, and I will talk to you guys soon.